or pay the high prices for the food. Why is it that everything about French is always, highfalutin or has this cachet
the French
to it,
I think that's probably changed,
sophistication and all that.
Yeah, it's, nobody pays that, I mean, it's if you're going to learn a language, you need to use it, and if nobody speaks it where you live, then how are you going to use it? So what you're going to do is study it, and then you're going to forget it because you never hear it. You never speak it. You can go to France for the summer, but, are you going to live in France? Or you can go to Haiti, places that speak French, but, I mean, I wonder about in Louisiana how many people actually speak French, Some do. Some do, but Cajun's a kind of a crazy variety of French.
But the interesting thought is what Richard said about the food and French restaurants.
Well, the French cuisine is good food.
And also, what he was saying, in almost anything French
is more expensive
because more
expensive. Or people at one point thought everything French was better. I think that's changed. I think that's changed now. I mean, if that were true, you go into Austin and see a bunch of French restaurants, but you don't. You see Mexican restaurants.
Well, probably, at least in this part of the country, there's been a long-term anti-French prejudice, or even feeling, if you want to use that word, because after World War II, we saved them, and they've been a bunch of ingrates, and they've kicked us in the face, as far as Americans' attitude goes.
Well, as they go belly up now in their economy, which is they're probably right behind Italy there. They're going to turn to the U.S. again. But that was sort of the art was better and the food was better.
That's
and
what I
the culture
was
was
going to
better.
Say.
The literature was better. It's got a very strong tradition.
But that's what
the food in England is bad. The art's not that great either.
Now, though.
The art's not that great either. The literature is really good in English.
Well, but
the French don't think so. So the French are always felt that theirs was superior. But the idea that you were going to eliminate English words in the French language.
Well, the possibility.
I mean that's ridiculous. So now that's gone. You eliminate the word.
The idea that language and thought could go together to be maybe a better thinking tool, language.
Well, if that were true, then it would be English then.
Well, yeah, of course.
Not French.
It's because it's taken over.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is something about English that you can really be able to put your thoughts into.
Well, the theory as to why that is that it was a combination of languages and sort of as the tribes mingled, they had to communicate on some level, and what came out was English. So they did shortcuts, and so you can express certain things better and faster and quicker than English than you can in other languages.
Mm-hmm.
What the case is now, I think, is the fact that the vocabulary is over 1 million words. So, it's become, and I think in Spanish, how many's in Spanish? It's only a couple 100,000, isn't it? 300,000.
It's not that many.
Yeah, and a lot of those are the same roots.
Like 300,000.
Yeah, something like that. I saw somewhere, but there's a lot less.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it might be increased, but a lot of the words now are borrowed from English, particularly with technology.
Well, English has become the technology language, and the business language, and the international language. So
all the new things are.
Yeah, the new things.
The new things.
Right.
It's
right.
And that alone.
Well,
the creativity comes from language also.
That and the fact that supposedly Mandarin Chinese is almost impossible to learn if you're not a native speaker and to speak it well. So even though you've got 1 billion, I don't know how many people in China speak it, a lot, it's that foreigners can't learn it. And whereas they're all basically subjected to having to learn English because we're not going to learn Chinese, or even if you want to learn it, you can't learn it. 4,000 characters, or I forget how many it is. It's extremely difficult. Extremely difficult pronunciation-wise, too.
Cumbersome.
Yeah, very cumbersome, yeah. But how, how can you separate... I'm surprised Chomsky didn't mention the fact of the mutations. The cranial mutations. Because the first one was... Well, there was one 1,000,000 years ago, and that supposedly was tools. And I thought the other one was only 50,000 years ago, and I thought that was language. Chomsky didn't mention it.
Maybe because he doesn't know it.
Well, that's the Cro-Magnon man came out of there, and that was, obviously the advantage of having language is huge. Because you can communicate between animals.
But I think that the part of the brain that's most involved with language is pretty much in the interior, Broca's area.
It's all over now. It's all over, yeah. When language is used on the imaging, it's just all over the brain. The whole thing is used. So there's no real... There may be certain centers for speech, certain kind of generic aid, but the idea of the modalities of having sectioned off is proven not to be true. Mm-hmm. And part of the disapproval of that is between individuals, variance can be, it was the same with the left and the right brain. They thought, well, certain things are on the left side of the brain, certain things are on the right side, but that's not true either. Some people have different functions on the other side. And so language is, and thinking can go all over. And what it appears to be is that it's a networking issue. So it's not how many neurons you have, which are roughly 100 billion, it's where the connections are. Because each neuron can have, 10,000, so I forget the number. There can be 10 trillion connections, but it's what connections you have. Because if you have the wrong connections, you're not going to be smart. You're not going to be able to think. You're not going to be able to...
but you might be able to be creative.
Well, part of the... I think creativity has kind of evolved to be the highest form of thinking, or one of the highest forms. I mean, that's certainly from what neuroscience is aiming at now. The creative aspect of human thought is considered to be the highest. Yeah. It's not.
Einstein said imagination.
It's not. It's not even the. I mean, it's not the ability to build houses or to do repetitive tasks. It's the ability to come up with something new, to solve problems and come up with something new. Right. It's to do like Einstein, or to do like Edison, or to do, that is the highest level. And I don't know, there may be something beyond that, but I don't know what that would be. There could be other levels of thinking, but I don't know.
At one time you were mentioning about the different, the difference between persons and how they think, images and words.
Oh, yeah. So that one is